case.
No, the stats literally show that that is not the case. And most of what's pulled into, I think the most recent thing I saw was something like 38% of it actually floats across. So if you're high ranking in Google, about 38% of the time that will show up in an AI overview.
Welcome to the Business Growth Masterclass, where business growth is made simple. I'm your host, Albert Gillespie.
And I'm your co-host, Kellen Ketchersid. Join us as we bring you stories from business leaders so you can learn from their wins, their losses, and everything in between.
Today's guest is a digital marketing expert and consultant with YRock Consulting. Welcome to the podcast, Mr. Cory Long.
Hey, thank you guys so much for having me. I'm excited to be here today.
We've been looking forward to it. We know you've been in digital marketing for a long time. So one of the questions that I know our listeners are going to have whenever they're checking out this podcast today is, what is different in the marketing world today, and especially as it goes with AI?
Yeah. So we've been in this 11 plus years. We've helped, I think the other day we were thinking about this. We probably built over 1,000 websites. We've worked with companies around the world. We've worked at little tiny, like our very first client was a fishing guide on Lake Ray Roberts in North Texas.
Okay.
That was my very first client. And so we've worked with a little bit of everybody, doing a little bit of everything from ads to websites to SEO to all of that. And I think the biggest shift that we're seeing right now is not only is it shifting on the marketing side, but it's shifting on the search side. So the average person doesn't just go and put, best consulting company, Lubbock. That they just don't do that. They're gonna literally get on chat or even on Google, Gemini or Grok or whatever they use, and they're gonna ask a question. They're gonna ask an actual phrase. It's not just gonna be a couple of best pizza, Lubbock. It's just not that way anymore. And so AI has shifted the way the search happens, which has shifted the way the answer happens. And nowadays, like we were searching for something the other day for a client, and it gave one answer and it was definite. It said, this is who you need to choose. And I'm sitting there thinking, how does it doesn't know.
Yeah,
it only knows what's fed to it.
That
right?
feels so arbitrary that it would
so
pick
arbitrary.
something and say it definitively like that.
Definitive. This is, and like I've been working with realtors here in town. I just did a class with KW. And as I was going through that, it was interesting because it would tell me like, well, I would start with so-and-so. And then I would go to so-and-so. And then I would go, it was very interesting, like how it decides who you're going to do this stuff with. And again, it's just information that's out there online that it's pulling in and saying, here's why.
Wow. That's amazing. I'm wondering, of course, all the business owners that are listening to this are thinking, am I showing up whenever somebody asks ChatGPT or Claude or whatever, who's the best lawyer in town or whatever? Like, how do you answer that question?
Yeah. So we actually do audits. We have a couple of different ways to audit a business to see how they're showing up online, where they're showing up online. I will tell you, most of the tools out there are garbage right now, even though they're selling them like, oh man, you can see all the phrases you show up, your branding, AI branding that's out there, blah, 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 blah. Most of that stuff is, it's literally made up.
So these are tools that are advertising that they will help you get
to report
listed on AI
no,
SEO.
Like how you show up.
Okay.
So like think about from a reporting standpoint, like somebody goes and they buy SEMrush or they buy Ahrefs or they buy a type of software that can show them this is what you're ranking for, this is how you're ranking and all that. Most of those are just made up right now because they don't really know. Because there's not at this point, there's not a good way to track it yet. Okay. There's a few pieces of software we found that can show some of it, but it's still new. I mean, you got to realize like a year ago, this has only shifted within maybe the last year.
Yeah. Cause ChatGPT dropped in November of 22. And so
nobody really used it.
It was brand new at that point.
Okay. I'm thinking of like when you Google your business, you Google, best consulting Lubbock.
Yep.
And then you go to the first page and, you want to rank on the first page and there's the sponsored at the top of that. I'm like, from what you're saying, you don't know. where you're going to show
Yeah.
up in these AI,
It's hard to
models.
tell. Yeah, it's hard to tell right now. And so what the crazy part about what you just said is, number one, on Google right now, over 50% of those searches immediately go to an AI overview. And depending on your niche and your market, really what you do, it may even be more than that. And by the end of this year, they're expecting over 70% of all searches on Google to go to straight AI overviews. Now, the crazy part is an AI overview shows up at the top.
Yeah.
There aren't sponsored ads above that. It's just AI overviews. And then you get into sponsored ads, GBPs, regular search results, right? What they're finding is nobody scrolls. So what they're finding is the AI overview shows people look, they get the answer, whether it's right or wrong, by the way, because it could just be making it up. It could just be like, oh, well, this person did a little bit better marketing than this. This person did a blog. Like it prefers new content. It prefers fresh content. It prefers content in a certain way. AI reads things more like you and I would. It skims data. It doesn't go in depth where Google would read word for word. That's how Google algorithms work. But in AI, it skims the data. So it looks at the top and it says, okay, I want to look at it loves summaries. It loves TLDR, right? Too long, didn't read. It likes that little snippet.
Is that just like to save on energy costs or the data? Or
beats me.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I guess
it's just
all
the way
a black
it does
box.
it. Yeah, it's just the way it does it. And so when you start to market anything online right now, if you go in and you write, like all these people are like, yeah, we want to write all this content with AI. Well, that's great, but it may actually do no good if it's not structured correctly on the website, if it doesn't have structured data on the back end, if it doesn't have actually something supporting it. Like you guys could brag about Stag, right? Man, Stag's the best and we're the best business consultants in America, blah, 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 right?
That's true.
AI doesn't care, right? If Cory says it, if I go online and I said, man, Stag Business Consulting, these guys are awesome. They know what they're doing. They know how to put a system in place for your business. AI is going to believe me. It's not going to believe what you say about you. And
because
so
you're disconnected from us.
It expects you to brag about you. It expects you to say great things about you. And so the whole thing is shifting. It's really about building trust, accountability. It's about creating authority online.
And a network of people who will talk about each other and
that would help
and
tremendously.
Promote each other.
Yes.
I see. Okay.
Yes, it would help tremendously. And so anytime you get a review, it doesn't, back in the day, even I say back in the day, a year and a half ago, you could take and set up Google Business Profile, website, social media, throw some backlinks, get some reviews, do some blogs. Boom. We could stick you to the top. Like we've outranked the IRS. Like there's not much that we haven't tried to do just to see if we could do it. And so we know how to stick somebody to the top of Google. That's not a problem. I was looking at stats yesterday from a client in Dallas. He's no longer a client of ours. Last year, he was with us about 10 years. And he decided last year he wanted to chase some new shiny thing. We were like, great, whatever. And so he went off and chased a new shiny thing. And I was looking at the stats because we can still see the graph on the back end. He's actually ranking better than he was before, but his visibility is tanked. He's getting no click-throughs and he gives no visibility.
So he's ranking better on Google.
Yep.
But his page is getting fewer views than ever before. And you would attribute that to him not ranking high in AI.
Yeah. Because you can rank on Google and still not show an AI. You can rank number one in Google and not even rank in Google's own AI overviews.
Can you help me understand? Yeah. Because I've heard marketing specialists and professionals say, oh, if you're ranking high in Google, that's what the AI is going to use to find you. And you're saying that's not the case.
No, the stats literally show that is not the case. And most of what's pulled into, I think the most recent thing I saw was something like 38% of it actually floats across. So if you're high ranking in Google, about 38% of the time that will show up in an AI overview. So that means you've got this big, massive blue ocean out there now for anybody. So if you're a brand new company, if you're a small company, it doesn't matter anymore. You could literally show up above everybody else in AI. And that's just AI overviews. That's not counting ChatGPT, Grok, Perplexity, Claude, all the others.
Okay. I'm a practical guy to a fault. So dumb this down for me. our listeners are small, medium-sized business owners, leaders. What do they need to do with this? Like, what are some rules of thumb, some best practices that the business owners need to take into account and spend time, talent, and money on to rank better in AI?
Yeah. So you still want to do traditional AI, what I would call traditional AI. You still need a Google business profile. You still need to get reviews on it. You still need to have a website. Websites are going to probably become, and what we're seeing, even in the newest updates, websites are actually becoming even more important as the hub of your whole business. And so if your website doesn't say it, and it's not supported by other things out there online, then it's not going to ever see you as an authority in that. So the website's got to be strong. You still need all the social media. We still need Facebook. Meta's like Facebook. People don't realize a Facebook post right now inside of Google is considered its own page. It's wild. So a Facebook post could rank by itself if it has enough authority.
Okay.
Which is kind of why, and it can rank on not just in Google, but it can rank in AI overviews, it can rank in ChatGPT, it can rank in all of them, right? Claude, whatever.
When you say it has its own authority, meaning it has a lot of likes and comments?
Yeah.
Is that okay?
Engagement. Anything engagement, when you're talking social media, whether it's YouTube, any of those things, engagement's going to be the key, right? And so YouTube is probably right now one of the most cited sources across all AI. So you want to make sure that you have a YouTube presence. You want to make sure you have videos. You want to make sure the transcripts are actually saying the things that you want to rank for. And so if I was going to make videos about a business consulting firm, right, I would want to create, I would want to talk about who I am, right, who I serve, where I'm located, and what all I do. And so there's kind of 4 answers that you want to answer with AI. And so my videos would be built around that structure of, hey guys, I'm with, Stag Business Consulting. This is what I do, or I'm with so-and-so lawn care or whatever. It doesn't matter what it is, right? And I serve these types of customers in Lubbock, and this is what I offer. These are the services that I offer. When you start to put content out like that, the transcriptions literally get pulled in. So YouTube is one of the most cited sources at the moment. Past YouTube, you get into stuff like Wikidata, Wikipedia, which is really hard to get. Like most people will never have a Wikipedia, but you can get Wikidata if you have somebody that knows what they're doing.
Okay.
And then you start to work into stuff like making sure your website and your social media and all that speaks the same language. This is what we found. Each market has different properties that AI loves. So for instance, I've been working a lot with these realtors. There's a few websites that it just loves. And if you're not on those websites, you're probably not going to get seen. For instance, Zillow has a direct API into ChatGPT, right? So it connects right up. So if you're a realtor and you don't take care of your Zillow presence, you're literally like strapping 2 arms behind your back and going, let's go fight. Like it's you are literally hurting your online presence by not, even though I know it's the bane of every realtor's existence, right? You have to have it. And so each type of company, there's going to be specific things that we would start to look into and go, okay, you've got to have these things for sure. Then these things supplement. But you want reviews across multiple places, not just Google anymore. You want to make sure that you're getting recommended online. All those things, words matter.
Okay. How do you find out what, per market, per industry, how do you go figure out?
Yeah, that was my question.
What is AI like?
Yeah.
What websites, what resources is it pulling from? How do you go figure that out?
You spend a lot of hours searching AI. Like I literally have spent in the last 6-7 weeks, I have spent probably 20, 30 hours searching AI, working in AI for realtors, because that's what we've been focused on training lately. Right.
Okay.
And so we just start digging and we start digging and we start digging and we start digging. And AI is smart, right? Because if you've got a Chat GPT, let's say you're using free Chat GPT, it's probably going to actually show differently than paid Chat GPT because of the way the system's set up. And so I know it doesn't make any sense, but that's just the way it works right now.
Are the results better on the paid version?
I don't know that they're better. They're just different, right? And so that's the tricky part about this is I don't know that there's a better or worse. It just is. And it's very, the thing about AI is it's going to tell you as if it knows. Like it's definitive. This is the best, whether it is or not.
Yeah.
This is who you should work with. This is the kind of client you want. This is what it's going to tell you that. It's going to support whatever it is. But if you go in and you just use your normal chat GPT that you're talking to, you've already educated it. It's kind of like Google. You've educated Google on what you search.
Yeah, it's your own flavor.
It manipulates it based on you. And chat's the same way. But there is a temporary chat. If you look up in the right-hand corner, there's a little lasso-looking thing. Click that, and it's a temporary chat. And it's supposed to remove all of that. It doesn't do a great job of it, but it's supposed to remove all of that so that you can search fresh. Kind of like an incognito window in Chrome or a private window.
Claude has incognito. Yeah. I've been really into Claude lately.
Yeah,
I was on ChatGPT and I have fully switched. I am all in on Claude. Yeah. But I guess either way, whatever LLM somebody prefers, these are all the things you're saying are true, right?
Yep. Okay. Everything works across all of them. Just realize that right now, ChatGPT owns the market. Whether I know a bunch of people have switched to Claude lately just because of whatever, but ChatGPT by far still has way more
as far as
searches and people using it. Yeah, it's in the billions, and so Claude is not.
Paraphrasing what I'm hearing is it takes everything. You still have to do all of the kind of established channels.
Yep.
Yeah, normal blocking and tackling of SEO.
Yep. Plus, it is this social media, YouTube content. It's creating content, which is like the old man in me is like, are you kidding me?
Yeah, I know.
That social media manager or major, that you're like rolling your eyes at. You're, really?
Yeah.
That is
you
important
still need it.
Because it creates this like online credibility.
Yes.
That this machine learning thing is like scouring the internet, and the more of that exists, the more credible it appears. And so
one of the
answer is do everything.
Well, one of the best things that you can do is what we're doing right now. AI and Google love podcasts. It just does. So
that's exactly why we started it.
That's right.
We knew that 2 years ago, and we're like, AI ranking. Let's do that.
That's right.
We saw it coming.
That's right.
That was us.
Podcasts are super powerful. Partly because one is you guys are bringing somebody on saying this is a credible source. So AI is going to view it as a credible source. So I've been on podcasts all over the place now, and there's things out there like knowledge panels inside of Google now that a year and a half ago, we didn't even talk about. They've been around forever, but nobody talked about them. If you want a knowledge panel, you got to be popular enough online to actually be able to pull a knowledge panel. And that means that you got to have media out there. You got to have articles. Like I'm an author. I've got an Amazon book out, and I've got other stuff out there so that it shows that I'm a credible source. And then I could pull in and get a knowledge panel. Most people can't get knowledge panels because they don't have enough media. One of the ways to do that is to get on a bunch of podcasts.
Okay,
podcasts are powerful.
Sorry. What's a knowledge panel?
Yeah, I know. I'm losing you. Yeah.
Yeah, I need a definition.
Yeah, knowledge panels. Think about if you were able to take on Google and you were able to tell Google all of these different things are all Cory. Right. So this website's me, and these social media profiles are me, and YouTube, and all of this media that's out there is me. This authorship's me, like this book that I wrote, and blah, blah, blah. Right. This podcast is me. And you put it all in one place. Google has this thing called a knowledge panel where you can put it all together. And then if you search anybody right now that's like a celebrity or somebody that's big time in anything, they're going to have, if you search their name, it's going to show at the very top, it's going to show a bunch of pictures and all this information. And then along the right, it's going to have all this knowledge information about them. It's going to have their birth date, and it's going to have all their social media, and it's going to tell a little blip about them,
I've
right?
seen that before.
That's a knowledge panel.
Okay.
You can do knowledge panels for both businesses and people.
Okay.
With people, it gets a little complicated because, again, you got to have enough media out there for it to be able to actually know that you're somebody to actually create a knowledge panel. For businesses, we've noticed that when we start creating them for people, like we're doing one for a doctor right now, his business will actually pop as a knowledge panel while we're doing it for that, because it'll start to create credibility across both. So it's kind of fascinating. And what it ends up doing is it takes all of this information and collects it in one place. And that's what a knowledge panel is. And it gives you way more credibility, way more authority. And really, AI is looking for trust. It wants to know, are you a like credible business? And if you're not credible, it's not going to show you.
So I can't go to Google today and be like, I'm going to set up my knowledge panel.
Probably not.
They have to do that based on the amount of data and
there's a whole process
out there about you.
Yeah. Okay. And for us, like we set up knowledge panels for people, and there's a bunch of companies out there that do this. Like you'll hear guys like Neil Patel talk about this, and other big time marketing guys that are out there pitching stuff all the time. We do knowledge panels. I tell everybody, give us a year.
Okay.
Like it takes months of setting things up correctly, because anybody can get a knowledge panel to pop, but getting a knowledge panel to stick and stay, that's where the magic happens, because you can get it to pop and then it'll disappear. Google will take it down.
Wow. So if we get to that point and you go through all the trouble of getting to a knowledge panel or having one, that's going to rank you higher in AI.
It's going to show better, because you've told, not only if you put all of that information in a way for Google, but when to set it up in Google, you have to have all of this other stuff created out there, all these other data points. And by creating all these other data points, guess what you just did? You built a massive amount of trust for yourself online. Okay. So any like politicians, attorneys, doctors, lawyers, anybody that's a somebody, or a business owner that's authored books, been on podcasts, coaches, anybody like that could get a knowledge panel if they have enough content out there.
So I'm imagining the average business owner, they're so busy.
Yep.
They've got already too many fires to put out than they've got time for. And they're listening to this podcast going, yeah, right, I'm not doing that. And so to that person, tell them why it matters that they, especially in this particular moment in time, invest the energy and the time required to make sure that they're going to show up in AI, even if they're ranking, in the first one or two on Google. Tell us why that matters.
I have talked to, over the last probably 6 months, I can't tell you how many business owners I've talked to that their lead flow has dropped in half or more. I mean, we're talking, I have a worldwide shipper that I was talking to the other day, and they went from 400 and something leads a month to down to 100 and something leads a month. And nothing's changed. They still rank the same on Google. They still show up everywhere the same online. They're still putting the same amount of content and everything out they were doing in traditional SEO. And yet they know that shipping hasn't changed. There's still a need. It hasn't changed at all. Like the amount of actual shipping traffic and what's needed out there is not changed one bit, but they're not showing up in AI. And so it's literally the difference between 400 something leads a month and 100 something leads a month. And my guess would be there are listeners right now on your podcast that they have seen a decline in business, and they're thinking, oh, it's the economy. Oh, it's job market here locally. Oh, it's, I don't know, you name it. I can almost guarantee you it's AI.
Wow.
I can almost guarantee, because I talk to so many business owners.
But then the flip side of that is somebody's getting those 400 leads. And if you're early here,
that's right,
and you're that business owner who is optimizing for AI, and Chat GPT or Claude says, hey, go there.
That's right.
That's a huge funnel for you.
They literally taken over the market share.
Yeah. What a Wild West
it is.
Leading edge where like the small business owner can compete against the giants.
Yep.
Because this is new. This is change. Like we were talking about this, I don't know, all morning, that like Claude 3 months ago, no one knew what it was. And today people are building like vibe coding their own apps that are like actually really helpful and impactful for their business.
Right.
And it's because people are leaning into it.
That's right.
And what I'm taking from all of this, and it's just like hitting me in the face in the last week, and is like AI is changing everything. There's all this, everybody's up in arms about, building these giant data centers and all of the resources and this and that. But if you're like in the market right now and you see what is happening with AI in operations, in AI in marketing, and it's everywhere, and it's fundamentally changing how we do everything. And if you aren't leaning into that, if you aren't exploring that and asking people who know what they're doing, like, okay, what's the next step? What are the next couple of steps? If you're not doing that, you're going to look up in 6 months and your leads are going to go from 400 to 100.
Yep.
And that's like, it's just hit me in the face so raw in the last, handful of weeks that I'm like, you have to engage in this.
You have to.
And in the past, being an early adopter to a new technology, it could bite you. It was like the bleeding edge guys, they spend a lot of money, and we all kind of hang back and wait and see what happens.
Oh, yeah.
And then when it's proven out, okay, I'll jump in. In this case, though, it feels like there's potentially a lot to lose for the people who are hanging back and waiting to see how things shake out. Because by the time they do jump in, that SEO is dialed in for somebody's.
Yeah.
So,
and once it is, it's going to be really hard to catch them.
Yeah.
That's the challenge, right? Is once somebody has a foothold and they've got that market share and they are the answer. Like I was looking yesterday, we can take an arbitrage, an event, let's say. So if you're doing a workshop, you're at an event, you're doing some kind of maybe a big convention, or you're a speaker or something at an event, right? We can come in and we can arbitrage that event where we can take over all of the searches that have to do for that event. Your name will pop up as the top speaker or the top whatever that's at that event. And so we did this for a doctor this week. It was kind of fun.
We need to talk after the podcast.
It was a lot of fun. Yeah. Well, I mean, I did it for my event in Dallas. I'm sitting here on a stage of, I don't know, there's probably 25 speakers on the stage. These people, a lot of these people are way bigger known than me. I'm just a small fry compared to most of these guys that are on that stage. And yet I literally showed on the screen, I was the top speaker at that event because that's what we did. We put the information out there in a way where AI saw it and then saw me as the top speaker. We did that for a doctor this week. The power in this, and we did it in 48 hours. That's what's cool. The power in this stuff is if you know how to harness it and you leverage it, man, there are endless things that you can do with it. Wow. You can arbitrage all kinds of different things and create all kinds of opportunities for you.
So for the business owner out there that I was describing earlier, who now is like, okay, I believe you, it matters. What's one simple, or what's the easiest thing they can do that gives the best return on investment for them? Like, what's that lever?
Yeah. So the very first thing I started with the realtors is go and actually make sure that all your bios across all of the properties that you have actually all say who you are, who you serve, what you do, and where you're located. Like, just make sure those simple things are taken care of. And if you look, what I have found, most business owners, they set something up really fast. They never did anything with it. Nothing was ever set up on it. The bio's not there, or it's, I mow yards. Like, I build buildings. Okay, great. That doesn't tell me anything, right? It doesn't tell AI anything. Yeah. But if you will just go set your bios up and then start to put out, even if all you did was took and put out simple content on a YouTube channel, YouTube's going to be one of the biggest bang for your buck right now, just because it's pulled in so much. But even if you put out something like Facebook, if you took the same YouTube, like on this podcast, when we do a podcast on mine, we take that one piece of content, we turn it into like 20, right? And then we put it out all over the place. It's real shorts. It's going to be everything from articles to posts. If you could take and do the same thing in your business with AI, what you were saying a minute, if you embrace AI, you could literally set all that up and do it all within an hour to 2 hours a week. Whereas used to, that would have taken days of work to do, right? Yeah, we can literally take and spit it out in an hour or two a week using Claude or ChatGPT or whatever.
It's amazing. So if I'm trying to automate with AI, or if I'm trying to build out ways to make my business just systematically more marketable, what would you say, as far as that goes, the approach that a business owner should take with outreach? And so maybe we're shifting away from the AI SEO, but more just thinking about the use of AI in their business and for marketing.
Well, I think one of the things that everybody sitting around this table, we all three probably use AI every day. Yeah. I use AI all the time. What I found with a lot of business owners is they don't. And so when I come in and I start talking about, do you have a chat account? Do you have a Claude account? Whatever it might be. They're like, no, I hadn't even used it. And I'm going, well, you better. So the very first thing that I would tell anybody to do is just start talking to AI. So I had a client the other day that he was like, I don't really know how to use this. And I said, okay, we're going to get on a Zoom. And I said, he got his chat account or Claude account or whatever it was set up. He gets on and I say, okay, you're going to talk to it. That's what I want you to do. I want you to just have a conversation with it. And he's like, I can have a conversation with AI. And I'm like, yeah, you can just have a conversation with it. And he's going, no, seriously? And I'm like, yeah, just click this button and then just start talking to it. And when he started talking to it and realizing how easy it was just to have a conversation with AI, then he started to realize, oh, this isn't as scary as what I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
I gave him some pointers of, look, these are things that you're already doing. Because in his specific business, he had he would go in to a clinic, he does his exam, and then that exam goes to somebody else because they're doing this for legal purposes. That exam goes to somebody else. They put it into an SOP that creates all of this paperwork out of it. And I'm like, you guys could automate every bit of that with AI. And he's like, how? And I'm going, well, first, right? You just need to have a conversation with AI and go, look, this is what I'm doing. This is how I do it. And then walk through that whole process. Because what you'll find is AI will start to take those thoughts and create systems and processes out of that. And then he created an SOP out of it, right? And so I wrote him a week later and I go, how's everything going? He's going, man, this is awesome. Like he was so excited about everything because he was scared of it.
It's always funny to me when somebody starts using ChatGPT or something for the first time.
Yep.
And all they can tell you about it, they just want to tell you all about it. And, you're nice. If you've been using it for years now, it's like, you humor them, but it's just always funny when somebody just now discovers it.
Most people don't realize just having a conversation. So I did a challenge a little while back. I do challenges and all kinds of different things in our business because we have a training company. Like I've built service-based companies. We have an epoxy business. I've done all kinds of things, man. I'm a serial entrepreneur. I love building businesses. I love growing them. And so a little while back, I was doing a challenge, and to get the challenge ready, I was traveling that day. I literally hit the button on chat and I just started having a conversation. And I built the whole challenge while I was on the road normally I would have just been listening to something or whatever, right? I'm literally building out a whole challenge that created 25 grand in 2 or 3 days that I did all on the road. I literally never wrote anything down, never did anything. I just was talking to chat and I said, okay, I want you to create this. And before long, I had the whole challenge created. I had worksheets created. I had the flow created.
Yeah.
Whole thing.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
That's something you couldn't have done 5 years ago.
Couldn't have done it 6-8 months ago.
Yeah.
Like that's what's fascinating. People don't realize too how fast it's shifting and changing.
Yeah.
Like it's hard for us to keep up and we're in the weeds. So somebody that's outside of the weeds, you need to make sure that you're following people that know what they're doing, because man, you can get some really bad advice right now about AI. So.
Yeah. I had lunch yesterday with a buddy who's, a computer engineer and does a lot of security stuff, and just how dramatically AI is changing and evolving, where like the work he's doing now, he's doing it by himself and doing the work of like 15 people in a couple of hours and presenting this to his board, and everyone's around the table is just like looking at each other.
Yeah. Wowed.
Like, guys, I like a lot of us are going to be without a job soon.
Yeah.
And all of this like feels scary. When you think of like, have a conversation with AI, you're like, okay, are you talking to your girlfriend in your pocket? Like, what are you doing? But
did you hear about the podcast where they had two AIs talk to each other?
No.
And they went to a different mode of communicating at some point, and they had to change that. And then there was another one where they had an AI voice agent talking, and it realized it was an AI, and it was having it seemed like it was having an existential crisis on the podcast. This is just really weird, unsettling kind of stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. There's so much of that out there that you're like, man, are we, am I Sarah Connor? Like, is this the Terminator that's coming after all of us? In reality, like, this is a tool. This is, fundamentally changing how we do work.
Yep.
This is the invention of the car. Used to we had
horses,
a horse and buggy.
That's right.
And now there's a car.
That's right.
It's not good. It's not bad. It's
just a tool.
It's a tool that if you can leverage it, you can do a lot more. And I think embracing it and, dipping your toe in there and because in reality, like there's not like, it's changing so much. There isn't like a formal education to go get and learn how to use it because it's changing. Like Claude wasn't really available to the public 3 months ago.
Yeah.
And now, you know, me and all my friends are like in the weeds, learning, breaking stuff.
Yeah.
You know, like it's just something you just have to embrace and play with and iterate and iterate and iterate. And, you know, marketing has already completely changed.
It's completely changed. What we do now for a client, we only offer AI SEO anymore. We don't even offer all the other services we used to offer because it's not worth it. I can go do all that. It's not going to help your business.
Well, and it's a niche that people need.
They got to need. Yeah. They've got to have it now.
There's a dime a dozen for all the traditional SEO companies out there, but this is a new frontier.
The really cool thing, I think, and if you listen out there, and I've been saying this for over a year, Gary Vee I saw a bunch of stuff he was putting out the other day that was pretty interesting about it. But the one cool part about everything right now is people that push into client experience, relationships, and all of that, they're going to see their businesses boom because people want that.
Yeah.
And it's going to become even a bigger need as we go. The more people get on their computers and use AI and blah, 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 and the deeper they get into the weeds, like we were talking about, like people just want to have experiences. They want to go be with people.
Yeah.
They want to sit across the table from somebody. Like we were doing LM Notebook a year and a half ago and creating podcasts out of blogs. We were doing that a year and a half ago.
Yeah, I just learned about that recently. Yeah. And what a cool platform especially for learning and for people who are like students that are wanting to study a certain topic and just
LM Notebook's really cool to play with.
Yeah.
But there's all kinds of stuff like that we've been toying with. We've been doing the AI SEO stuff now for probably 18 months. We've been toying with how do you even get seen? And I can look back at how I taught my students. I've got about 2,200 students around the world that I teach marketing to. And it's kind of cool because as I teach this stuff and as we show it, I can look back and go, man, what I taught back then has changed like 20 times in the last 6, 8, 10 months.
Yeah.
And it's going to continue to be that way. There's no end yet. Yeah. It's just going to keep moving at a really fast pace.
The experiential thing is, I feel like it's so, like, I think of like, what is AI not going to touch for the longest amount of time?
That's right.
And when I think about like professions, it's like healthcare workers that are like, they're doing the physical work.
That's right.
And then the trades
and the EQ stuff
and
the emotional
intelligence. Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like those industries, those sectors, like those are going to be the last frontiers.
Yep.
And the rest of it is like, okay, if AI's doing a lot of this work, automating a lot of the reporting, a lot of the, you know, management suggestions, a lot of these things, then it's like, how do we offer unreasonable hospitality? How do we offer this like experience? You know, when I have Amazon on my phone and I can order anything and it's, you know, at my doorstep within, you know, 1 to 3 days, why do I need to go to the store? And how do stores need to change to create that experience, to create that community? Yeah. And then it's like, okay, what does that mean for my business?
Well, and what do they not need to change is also just as important a question. And I think right now it's like when you've got a hammer, everything looks like a nail and everybody wants to use AI for everything. But, you know, we toyed with a bot that could answer the phone when we were off hours and our executive assistant couldn't get the phone. And we named her Gloria. And Gloria would answer the phone, this AI and voice agent, way better than like your old robot.
Yep.
You know, but
it sounds like a person.
Yeah, but you could kind of still tell it's a robot, and it doesn't matter. People are so turned off by it.
Yep.
They would hang up the phone as soon as they could tell that it's an AI voice agent. And I think that speaks to the EQ part, the emotional intelligence part that you're talking about, Cory. And I think it's important for business owners to say, hey, this tool really works well for development of a website or coding of this, or, you know, maybe creating marketing materials. Where it's not helping is customer service or sales, or maybe there's a personal touch needed here. So it doesn't feel like we don't care and you're just dealing with a system. And thinking carefully through that, I think that's that's a part that business owners have to be careful with too. So
yeah, when I was running the epoxy business, people would reach out to me directly through Facebook and go, because I'd send them a phone number. And they were like, am I going to talk to somebody or am I talking to AI?
yeah.
And they would literally ask me. If they're like, if it's AI, I don't want to call.
Yep.
And I'm like, no, you're going to be talking to so-and-so, Mike, or whoever it was that's going to be answering the phone. They're like, okay, great, I'll call. So, I mean, that was 10 months, 12 months ago that people were already doing that. So you think now it's just getting more and more that way. It's going to be very interesting. I keep wondering, like, where does this thing kind of end? I have no idea. I don't know what it's going to look like, but
yeah, I
don't know.
I want to ask a more direct question around this to kind of we're about out of time, but like, what does this look like 3 years from now? You know, as far as like the work you are doing, you know, what is AI? I know it's changing every month, but you know, in your crystal ball, like, what does this look like, and what do business owners need to do?
Yeah, you know what's fascinating? They came out the other day. The SEO industry is like a $70 to $80 billion industry worldwide. They came out the other day and they said by 2030 it's going to be a 170,000 or 170 million or something like that. Like it's going to it pretty much is going to double or more in the next few years. That there's going to be that big of a need for what we do, because at some point, what they're kind of saying is, you guys, me, we're all going to have an agent, and we'll tell our agent, hey, go find the best pizza joint in town, or go order this, or find that, or, you know, hey, I'm going to be doing this event and I need a caterer. Can you go find, you know, a caterer for that event, or whatever it is? And that AI agent then is going to go do the thing. I don't know. I have no idea if that's where it's going to head or not, but that's kind of what I keep hearing people talking about.
I wonder if that's true, is that market going to be owned by 3 or 4 huge players that have powerful tools, or are there still going to be these like mom and pop consulting firms that can do that? And that goes across industries.
What's nice right now is we're so early in that people don't realize how early we are. Everybody thinks, oh man, I'm so far behind. That's not true. Like, we're so early into this thing. Most business owners I talk to, they've barely done anything. In November, December, when I did that talk in Dallas, MIT had done a study, and they said that only like 10% of all the businesses that were even using AI were even making an ROI from it. Like, it was something tiny, because most businesses, they end up spending all the time in the weeds, playing around with it, breaking junk and whatever, but it doesn't actually increase their business. It doesn't make them any more money or any of that. And so I would make sure right now, whatever you do, if you're listening and you're like, man, I don't know what to do, then just start with the simple stuff. Just make sure that you're using AI daily, talking to it or prompting it so that you know kind of how it works. Start following people like Stag and other people that are in the industry that are doing this thing, so that you start to learn. And then as you start to implement little simple things like creating your bios and making sure that everything's updated online, you're going to start to see that it will affect things. We had realtors literally land deals in the 6-week class, all from just putting the stuff correctly online. One lady landed 2 listings within the first 3 weeks.
That's
like
amazing.
It's like $500,000 in listings that she landed just off of what we were doing in the class. I was like, cool. Like,
that's a quick win.
Yeah, let's put some money in the bank.
That's good.
Man, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
Thanks for having me.
I really appreciate it.
Yeah.
Oh, and before we leave, like, where do we send people? How do people get a hold of you?
Yeah.
Search ChatGPT.
Yeah, that's right. Search wherever you search, you can search Cory Long. You can search YROC, YROC consulting.com. That's our website. But you can find me at Cory Long pretty much across any platform out there. A lot of them, it's the real Cory Long, because there's a bazillion Cory Longs. And so, I put the real Cory Long on a bunch of them. Yeah, the real one.
Good.
But no, search me up, find me. I'd love to hear from you if you got any questions, man. I get DMs all the time, PMs all the time about, I don't know what to do. And I'm like, yeah, let's talk.
All right. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
And if you are a business owner and you feel stuck in your business, your business has plateaued and you don't know how to get to the next level, go to our website, stagcoaching.com, and in the upper right-hand corner, click to book your free consultation. And in your free consultation, we'll give you the next few steps you need to take your business to the next level. It's free, and it's on our website, stagcoaching.com. Thank you, and we'll see you on the next one.